Hi guys, welcome you guys all back to my channel, and today we are here to talk about my December and January reads. So I kind of only managed to read 2 books in December, 2 books in January, and then I just did not feel like recording in January, so that's why we're kind of here right now. Let's see, how do I say this? Had pretty average reading, I guess is the best way to put it. So the first book, obviously, that I want to talk about is the one that I read with my book club, and that is Cinderella is Dead. And I mean, you guys can, I'll leave a link and like a note thing. You can check out Black Prose, where we actually broke down this book a little bit more than I would be able to do in this wrap up. But it was okay. I think it was a very interesting spin on the Cinderella idea because, you know, there are a lot of retellings and stuff like that. That part is totally true. There are a lot of retellings, and I feel like this one really gave it a different spin. There were obviously some glaring issues that I had with the book, but again, if you really want to hear everything that I had to say about that, we actually did a whole review with Black Prose, so I'll leave a link down below and up in the cards for you guys to check out. Consulting the reading planner. So the next book that I read, is Cloak of Night. Okay, so Cloak of Night is the ending of the duology. What is the name of the duology? Hold on. I don't remember. Let me look. So Cloak of Night is the second book in the Circle of Shadows series by Evelyn Skye. So this series focuses on these 2 main characters, Sora and Damon, who are basically linked together as a fighting pair, and their world is completely thrown upside down when the Dragon Emperor decides he wants to come back and he wants to take what he believes is rightfully his. However, I think that this conclusion, I wanted a little bit more. I'm not going to say that I was like 100% disappointed with it. It was one of those things where, again, everything's like the stakes were super high. I felt that they were super high while I was reading the book because I was like, wow, like, how are they going to get this done? How are they going to figure that out? Like, oh man, this is going to happen to those people. I can't say more without divulging like what happened in book 1 and stuff. But everything wrapped up in the last hour of the audiobook. This book I listened to as an audiobook when I drove to my parents' house for the holiday and when I drove home from my parents' house for the holiday. So that was a good 12 hours. So I finished the audiobook on the ride home. But I was just kind of sitting there like, this was pretty. Like, this was really wrapped up in a nice little bow. I'm glad that it was just a duology because I just don't feel like there was enough of a story to give us more. And to be honest, we kind of could have did all of this in one book. But they really drew out a lot of things like the relationship part of the book. It was kind of just like, could y'all just be together already? I did enjoy the part about the gods, like the way that they view their gods and the way that they view like their patron god, because obviously Luna was their patron god of the, I forgot what they're called, but they're basically like they are the people gifted with the ability to use magic, and that comes as a gift from Luna. So I do like the way that they tied in this whole gods thing. I do want to know if there was inspiration for these gods like from a culture, from a different culture, because I've really been enjoying learning about different cultures' mythologies. So that would be nice to know, but that's something I gotta definitely keep in mind. So the first book that I read for the year 2021 is Persephone Station by Stina Leach. You guys remember this was a book that I talked about in my anticipated reads for the first quarter of 2021. I'll leave a card to that video up here. And I also did a review for that. So like, yay me, I put out an actual book review before I even got to the wrap up. And that barely ever happens on this channel. But since I did, you can also check that out too. So like somewhere, check it out. This book was promoted as a space opera that was a mix, a little bit of The Mandalorian with Cowboy Bebop, which, like I said, really grabbed my attention because I like both of them. But it focuses on these two characters, specifically Rosie, a non-binary character who's basically like a mob boss. I mean, they don't say it like that, but Rosie is definitely a mob boss. They hire Angel, who is an ex-Marine who was excommunicated from her, like, I'm going to call it magical kung fu school because I really have nothing else to go off of. And so Angel's team is working for Rosie on this special mission. And that's kind of all I can tell you without reading the book. But do check out my review if you want more thoughts. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because I do feel like the world building was really, really good. But I also feel like it was a lot of information dumping, which almost made me feel like there should have been another book. But the way that the story comes together at the end, I guess I'm glad that there's not going to be another book because it would be like, what is left? So again, if you want to see my full thoughts on that particular book, please check that video. So you guys remember during 25 days of Britmas in 2020 last year, I made a video where I said that there were certain series that I wanted to actually read in 2021. Well, I started, and so the second book that I read in the month of January was Crown of Feathers by Nikki Pau Preto, and this is the Owlcrate version. I need to get the second version of this book, and I want the Owlcrate version because I just want them to match. So that kind of lets you know how I feel. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Now, I almost gave it 3.5 because, you know, with Brittany's reading planner, you can give it 3.5 stars. But yeah, how do I put this? Let's see. I also wrote my notes in my wrap up. So let's see. I said, I really enjoyed both sisters. Veronica made me feel excited, even though the girl dressed like a boy felt a little unnecessary. If females were the stronger Phoenix Riders, then what was the logical reason to exclude them? Val, on the other hand, was a monster of a human. I honestly cannot wait to watch her be a villain. That's my wrap up. So basically the story starts off with two sisters, Veronica and Val. And basically Val does something to Veronica that Veronica feels is so bad that just crosses all lines of love and sisterhood and everything. And so she actually runs away from her sister and joins the secret society of Phoenix Riders. And so Phoenix Riders were basically warriors who are animagus in this particular world, because they do have animagus, and they had a particular bond with specifically phoenixes. And to be a Phoenix Rider, like, you build a bond with one phoenix, and like that you guys kind of become bonded through your whole life, and like you ride them, and it's majestic, and it's just all the things I wish that in real life I could have a phoenix chillaxing on the top of my house right now. But thus here we are. And so I enjoyed this book. I look forward to the series. The reason that I took some points off is because, like I said, I kind of feel like there's a couple different premises in this book that are very traditional in a lot of these kinds of stories. And there is a girl just like a boy thing, but as you're reading the book, it just doesn't make sense why that's a thing. It's completely not needed. It's legit just an extra thing into the book. So I felt like that was really unnecessary. Plus, there was this thing where which I just kind of like, I laughed at it because I was like, wow, that is just so not how to do it. But basically, Veronica, what she would do when she was feeling grief or something, especially like involving her sister, she would like basically lock it up in like a compartment in her head and try to suppress the feeling. And I was just like, oh sis, baby girl, that's not right. That ain't gonna help you ooh, that's not gonna be good later. I don't know about that. So I kind of took some points off in my mind for that. I do, like I said, I love the sister story of this book. And specifically, I love it because it is not cookie cutter and cutesy and nice. It's kind of like why I loved the queendom from, what is the book's called? Where are my books? Oh, Three Dark Crowns. There we go. It's kind of why I like the idea of Three Dark Crowns, because it wasn't the sister relationship where like everything is peachy. And then I feel like with Veronica and Val, like they actually had like a real sister relationship where the older sister was a little bit more dominant and a little bit controlling, and Veronica was just the loving, younger, trusting sister. I can see it. I felt it. I understand the turmoil that Val gives Veronica, and I kind of low-key love Val. I love her because her conviction is very, very strong. Like, you can read, as you're reading it, you're like, this chick is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But I kind of love her because she's kind of like, to be so wrong, but to believe that you are so right gives a certain character element to a character in a book that it's almost like you kind of have to remind yourself that they're the villain and that what they are doing is actually wrong, even though they believe it so much that it can actually make you think like, well, I mean, is she right? So needless to say, I'm very happy that I started with this series. So I'm going to finish this series before I go on to the next ones on that list. And in fact, I need to put that list in my reading planner. So maybe for the March plan with me, because I do have the February plan with me done already, maybe for the March plan with me, we will put a list in one of the note pages of the series that I want to complete in 2021. And those were the books that I read in December and January. As far as a TBR for February, I do not have one. I am just reading whatever I want to read, and we will just see what happens. Now, will I always not have a TBR? I'm not sure, but for right now, I am kind of enjoying just going into my bookshelf, pulling off a book that suits me, and then going about my business. I feel very, very, very Belle-esque, like, I kind of want to get my bookshelves to touch the ceiling so I have an excuse to get a ladder put in, but we're not going to do that in this house. Maybe my next house will do that. So yeah, my question to you guys is, what books did you read in January or December or both? And which ones did you really, really like? Did you DNF any? Because technically I did DNF a book in January, and it was a book I'd been trying to read for months. And the only reason that I'm not discussing it is because it is a independently published book, and like, I just don't want to discourage people from trying independently published books. So I'm not going to discuss it. So yeah, I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to handle it, how I'm going to handle those kind of books. So yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for checking out my channel, and until the next video, guys, bye.